أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله، صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا مظلوم يا غريب يا شهيد كربلاء، يا ليتنا يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A second for the love of Imams Al-Hassan wal-Hussein. A third for the love of Fatima al-Zahra with your loudest voices. There was a scholar, a marja', that lived in our contemporary times, in our modern times. However, this marja', if we compare him to other scholars and other maraja', he was a lot more successful. What he contributed, what he achieved, what he produced does not compare to what was achieved by other maraja' and other scholars. Of course, all of our scholars achieved, and they produced, and they wrote books. But there was one that stood out in his achievements. And the amount of books that he wrote was more than others. And the amount of Islamic centers and foundations and mosques and libraries and seminaries that he built all across the globe, and charitable organizations and hospitals and clinics, it doesn't compare with what all the other maraja' had produced. There was something special about this scholar, about this marja'. What was the key to his success? Of course, there could be many reasons. One could be his nearness to Allah. One could be his sincerity to Allah Azza wa Jal. his piety, his hard work and dedication. There could be a lot of reasons for his success. And he was successful through his sons and grandsons and nephews and cousins. But one of the reasons, if you look into his life and you read his biographies and autobiographies, one of the reasons behind his success was that he never wasted time. Never. He was very punctual. He knew how to use his time properly. I've seen in some of his books that he says, if I were to come across a book, I would finish it in one day. He would read an entire book in one day. While an average person, it might take us up to a week, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days, to read an entire book. This marja' had the ability to read a book within one day. You might think that's not a big deal. Okay. He had the ability to write a book within one day. Not read. To write an entire book in one day. How does that happen? It's by saving time. He was a master of how to save time. He made sure that not a single minute, not a single hour of his day was wasted. He says that even during breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we all have to eat. And we eat 3 meals a day. There are some people that have 5 meals a day. But average people have 3 meals a day. Those meals, they take time. At least 30 minutes. 3 meals, that's an hour and a half. An hour and a half is a lot. He says that while I'm eating breakfast, while I'm having lunch and dinner, I'm reading a book. Or I'm writing a book. Or I'm having a conversation. Or I'm having a meeting. Or I'm having a phone call with someone important in another country. So even while having a meal, in which usually, when you're having a meal, you want to enjoy it. You want to sit in front of the TV, watch a movie, watch the news, sit in your patio, sit where there's a nice scenery. You want to get away from business and work. No, this marja' would eat while having work. And that's how he achieved. And that's how he produced. And that's why he has so many books, and so many mosques, and so many Islamic centers, and so on and so forth. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. My dear brothers and sisters, I began with this story to show that time is priceless. Time is worth everything. We cannot afford to lose time. Every hour that passes by is irreplaceable. You can never go back and return time. It's irreplaceable. We need time. Time is needed for education. If not education, for business. If not for business, for family. You need time with your family. If not your family, you need time for faith and religion and spirituality. Time is always needed. No one can say that I have extra time that I don't need. No. Time is always needed. There's no time to be wasted. Money is replaceable. Money is replaceable. You lose $100, you lose $1,000, you lose $100,000, you could always replace it. The famous saying says, you lose some, you win some. Or you win some, and you lose some. If you lose one transaction, you lose one business deal, you could always make it up in another business deal. But time is irreplaceable. The only thing that can never be replaced back is time. That is why when they say time is money, that's not correct. It's not correct. What they mean by time is money is that time has value. Within time you could make money. But this is wrong. Because money is replaceable. No matter how much you lose, you can replace it. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. But time is irreplaceable. You can never replace time. I hear some students, after they graduate, after they get their bachelor's degree, and they want to go on to law school or medical school or pharmacy or whatever it is that they want to do, they say, we want to take a year break. We want to relax for a year. What do you mean you want to relax for a year? People relax for a day or 2 days, not a year. What are you talking about? You want an entire year from your life to be wasted so that you don't go to medical school or engineering or whatever it is that you want to do? There's no such thing as, I want to take a year off. I hear this a lot from you. I don't want to take a year off. You want to take a year off to do what? To waste that time? To sleep in? To crash? No. This is not acceptable in Islam. Unfortunately, we always find ourselves out of time. You never see someone that says, I just have too much free time. Have you ever seen anyone that complains of too much free time? No. Everyone is always complaining of lack of time. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. I have exams coming up. I don't have time to study. I have so much work to do. I don't have time to finish. I have a paper to write. I have things to fix at home. I have to teach my kids. People are always out of time. There's no one that has extra time. So time is a hot commodity, my dear friends. We cannot afford to lose time. If you can afford to lose anything but time. We cannot afford to lose time. Look at the qualities of the most successful people in history. They all have one thing in common. Of course, everyone has a secret to their success. Some people are smarter than others. Some people are more imaginative than others. Some people are more creative than others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not created everyone equal. We're all different. But if you look at the lives of the most successful people, whether they are engineers, mathematicians, scholars, politicians, maraji', teachers, whatever they are, there is one thing that they have all in common. What is that? They don't waste time. They don't have time to lose. They don't procrastinate. How many of us procrastinate? How many of us, there's things that we need to do now, but we push it off for the weekend. And when the weekend comes, we keep ourselves busy, we go out with friends, we watch a movie, and the weekend finishes and we didn't finish the job. So we push it for the other weekend, and the other weekend, and we keep on delaying. You procrastinate. Successful people never procrastinate. A job that they can do today, they will never push it to tomorrow. Never. Look at the lives of successful people. Like Bill Gates, for example. The CEO of Microsoft. Or Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. Or the former CEO of Apple. Do you think these people wasted their time? They relaxed with their friends at night for several hours and they slept in during the day and procrastinated? No. A common quality among successful people is that they never procrastinated. They never wasted time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, each one of us, of course, we all have goals in life. Everyone has a goal in life. We're all trying to reach somewhere. We might have different goals. Where I want to be might be different from where you want to be and from where you want to be. But we all have goals, right? And we all have distractions. And our distractions can be different. My distractions can be different from your distractions. For some, their distractions might be their children. They have crazy kids at home that don't let them work, right? There are others, their distraction is, it could be something else. It could be their parents or noise around the house. We all have distractions, right? We all have certain things that waste our time and kill our time. I don't want to talk about the personal issues. However, there are common things that waste our time. Things that we all have in common. Or most people have in common. There are certain factors that are known to waste time and to kill productivity. What are those things? There could be a lot. There could be over 20 things. But tonight I would like to concentrate on 7 common factors that tend to waste people's time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Number 1, perhaps the number 1 killer of time and productivity and a cause for procrastination in our era, perhaps our parents and our grandparents did not have to deal with, but today it's our crisis. Social media. A major killer of time. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, and the list goes on. There's some social networking sites that I haven't even heard of. But there's kids at the age of 9 and 10 they've heard of more than me. These things, my dear friends, social media is a two-edged sword. It could either make you or it could break you. From one point, it has made the world a global village. Someone who's living on the opposite side of the globe, you feel as if they're sitting next to you. You see them live, you speak to them. You don't even feel that there's a big distance between you and them, right? There's mass information. You can pick up information within seconds. It's on your phone through social media. But at the same time, as useful as it is and as much knowledge as it gives you, and it makes people live in a small village, in a global village, it can destroy your time. I've seen youth that slack off in school, that get bad grades in school and fail their exams, and don't work, and slack off in all parts of their life because of social media. Social media. I know some kids, they go from one Facebook page to another, and they scroll on their phone several hours a day, reading their timelines. What did this person say on Twitter? What did that person say on Twitter? Especially now that we have Donald Trump on Twitter. Everyone wants to see what he says. And it's as if he has no other job than to tweet 25 times a day. And the latest is that he's starting attacks with the NFL, with the athletes. Anyhow, there's people that keep up with Twitter, with Facebook, with posts, with pictures. As soon as one of their friends posts an image on social media, they're the first to see it. And no, not just to see, but to like, and to comment, and to say you look very pretty today. And whatever you're eating, it looks good, and so on and so forth. Do you know how much time that destroys? If you add all of this, I want you to think for a moment. How many hours do you spend on social media every day? 30 minutes? 30 minutes, that's just getting started. That's just the appetizer. 4 hours? 5 hours? Believe me, I'm not exaggerating when I say that there are some people that spend 5 hours on social media every day. And every day there's a new site. You can't even keep up with them. You have to have 5 accounts, 6 accounts, 7 accounts. How much does that ruin of your time? And the problem is it becomes an addiction. Becomes an addiction. You open, you look at your phone, you turn it off. After 5 minutes, you open it again. What happened within the 5 minutes? What do you think people posted? Nothing. But it becomes an addiction. You have to constantly open your phone, look at Twitter, look at Facebook, look at Instagram, open WhatsApp, reply to this person, reply to that person. And what did you produce that day? How many papers did you write? How much work did you produce? How much did you study for your exam? How much Quran did you read? I wish, and I'm speaking for myself as well, for all of us, I wish that we would read as much Quran as we read posts on Facebook and on Twitter. I wish. But we don't. So this is a problem. This is not including YouTube and Netflix and all the movies and shows out there. If we want to add these, no, it becomes a full-time job. I know some people, believe me, I'm not exaggerating. They've tweeted so much, and it's good tweets, positive tweets. There are some people that comment on sports and, on useless things. No, I know some people that tweet about religious things. If they wanted to write a book, they would have been able to write a book. But they didn't. Instead, they posted on Twitter. Let's think about that. These sites, they're there for us to benefit from, not to harm us. The day that they begin to harm us, that's a problem. That means we have to put it away. Anything that churns out, instead of being beneficial, it becomes harmful, then you have to put a question mark on it. So what's the solution? The solution, you have to know the solution. If you have to deactivate, go and deactivate. If these social sites, social media are not allowing you to study, not allowing you to study for your exams and prepare for your papers and do work at home, I know some parents, they neglect their children because of social media. I know some mothers, instead of, preparing breakfast for their children, they're sitting on Instagram, posting pictures. And fathers the same way. Parents are neglecting their children because of social media. If this is a problem, you have to go and deactivate. If there's some people that you follow that are wasting your time, you unfollow. If there's people that are friends on Facebook and they're killing your time, you unfriend. Sometimes you have to put limits, certain hours. You tell yourself, from morning till night, I will not go on social media. You put special hours, 30 minutes a day. If that's not enough, 1 hour a day, maximum. Not more than that. At night, before you want to go to sleep, before bedtime, you check your social media, and that's it. Not 24 hours. Not starting from 5 a.m. till 3 a.m. 23-hour shifts. This is wrong. This is the number one time killer of our era, my dear friends. And we don't realize it. We don't realize it. College students realize it. High school students realize it. When they're about to write a paper, but instead they're killing their time on social media. So this has to be taken care of. This is not including the dangers of social media. If I want to talk about the dangers of social media, that will require a lecture of its own. The dangers of social media. Who are you talking to on social media? Who are you posting your pictures with? Do you even know these people? They're complete strangers. They pretend to be your friends. And God knows that sort of things that occur on social media. There's no parental guidance. There's no parental supervision. And youth feel that they have the freedom to say whatever they want, post whatever they want, put whatever sort of pictures that they want, and get themselves in all sorts of mess. I don't want to open that sort of subject. I'm assuming that we're using social media for good purposes, but it wastes time. It kills time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So this is the first factor. The second factor, a common factor that kills our time and kills productivity, and especially youth. Youth have this problem. Sleep. Sleep is a major time killer, my dear friends. Let me tell you something. If you are a normal person and you sleep for 8 hours a day, if you sleep for 8 hours a day, that means you are sleeping 1/3 of the day. Because there's 24 hours. 8 out of 24 is how much? 1/3. If you're sleeping for 8 hours a day, that means you're sleeping 1/3 of the day. You know what that means? That means if you die at the age of 60, not you, God forbid. If someone dies at the age of 60, that means they spent 20 years sleeping. Imagine that. If you sleep 8 hours a day, but our dear youth, 8 hours is nothing. 8 hours is nothing. I know some youth that sleep 12 hours a day. If you sleep 12 hours a day, that means you slept half of your life. Half of your life. So if you live up till 100, that means you slept for 50 years. What are you, a polar bear? That's ridiculous. That's too much sleep. According to scientists, an average person requires 7 to 8 hours of sleep, no more. And you could do less than that. You could do less than that. I know of a scholar, of a marja'. In fact, his son is present in our majlis tonight. Samahat Ayatollah al-Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Mudarrisi, one of our well-known maraja'. I've heard that he had told some students that for several years he had slept for only 4 hours a night. For 4 hours a night. It's possible. It's possible for you to live for 4 hours a night or 5 hours a night. It's possible. Sleep kills your time, my dear friends. There's a hadith that says, "Man kathura nawmuh ja'a yawm al-qiyamati faqira." He who sleeps too much, on the day of judgment he'll come poor. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything for this life, and he hasn't done anything for the next life, because he spent it sleeping. And another hadith, I believe this is the wording, it might not be the exact wording. "Ma ahdamul nawm li'azaimul yawm." You know, a lot of times at night you say, tomorrow, as soon as I wake up, I'm going to wake up at 8 in the morning, and I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to go run for 30 minutes. I'm going to send that important email. I'm going to file that application. I'm going to go for that job interview. I'm going to do 10 tasks when I wake up at 8 in the morning. And what time do you wake up? 12. How much does that happen? How many times does our sleep ruin our plans? How many times? Every day. Every day we tell ourselves that this is what I'm going to do tomorrow morning, but instead we sleep in and it ruins everything. There's a saying in Arabic that says, "Kalamul layl," what? "Yamhuhu nahar." We make plans at night, but when the morning comes, everything's done because we sleep. We sleep in. And the problem is that there are some youth, they don't sleep at night. They're like bats. At night they don't sleep, they sleep during the day. While it should be the complete opposite. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created night for sleep, not to stay awake. And He created the day to work. وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. Go work, go study, go produce. Our youth don't sleep at night, and they sleep during the day. In fact, staying up at night is makruh, except for a few exceptions. One exception is if you're praying Salatul Layl. If you pray Salatul Layl, yes, stay up at night. But how many of our youth stay up to pray Salatul Layl? And two, to seek knowledge. If you're studying, if you're seeking knowledge, that's good. You can stay up at night. وَمَنْ طَلَبَ الْعُلَى سَهَرَ اللَّيَالِ. If you're seeking knowledge, if you're working on yourself, stay up at night. But not to chat and chit-chat and go out from place to place and kill your time and then sleep during the day while you should be working during the day, while you should be studying during the day, while you should be being productive during the day. This is a problem. So what's the solution, my dear friends? Don't sleep more than you need. If your body needs 8 hours of sleep, sleep for 8 hours. If you sleep an extra hour, you're wasting that time. Your body doesn't need more than 8 hours. Even on the weekends, I know some people, they wake up Monday through Friday, early in the morning, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and they go to work. But they make it up on the weekends. No, this is not an Islamic culture. This is a Western culture, to make up sleep on the weekends. In Islam, there's no such thing. On the weekends, sleep an extra hour, not 6 hours extra. You don't need that 6 hours. 1 hour extra. Maximum 2 hours. Get up. Whatever you teach your body in the early days, you will grow up with those habits. If your habit is to sleep till noon every day, believe me, you will not be able to change this habit. You'll be a 40-year-old man with a family, but you're waking up at noon. When you're young, you can change that habit. Sleep early and wake up early. This is very important for production. Otherwise, our time will go to waste. And believe me, we will have a lot of room to sleep. When they put us in our graves, we'll have all the time in the world to sleep. Continuously, without breaks, without a phone call to wake us up, or our father or mother to wake us up. No, there's plenty of time to sleep in our graves. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Number 3, food. Food, yeah, food. You know, it takes an average person 15 minutes to eat. It doesn't take more than 15 minutes. Some people can eat in 10 minutes. But we take 1 hour lunch breaks. That's a waste of time. Our lunch breaks are an hour. You could do it in 15 minutes. 45 minutes is being wasted. That's if you don't want to go out and eat. If you want to go out and eat, that's 2 hours. That's 3 hours. Because you're commuting, you're going, you're coming, you're socializing, you're talking with friends. Before you know it, 2 hours have passed. 3 hours have passed over what? A meal. A meal that you could do within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Now, I'm not telling you to go to McDonald's every day and have fast food every day, but we could be productive in this hour. You don't have to take so much time. Yes, unless you're eating with your family, that's another issue. Because spending quality time with family, that's another issue. That is something good, and we'll talk about that later on. Right? You don't have to take so much time. In fact, let me give you a general rule. This rule will help you in life. Whatever takes a certain amount of time, don't give it more time than it needs. If whatever task you have to do, it takes an hour, don't take 2 hours. Give it an hour. Give everything that allotted time, the time that it needs. Don't give it more and don't give it less. If you give it more time, that time will be wasted. For example, showers. If it takes you 10 minutes to shower, don't take 30 minutes. You're wasting water and you're wasting time. Relaxing. We all have to relax. You have to relax. I'm not saying that you don't need a break, you don't need to relax. But relaxing can take a few minutes, or it could take a few hours, or it could take a few days, depending on how tired you are. And depending on what you've done. If relaxing could take 2 days, you don't need 2 weeks. If relaxing could take 2 hours, you don't need an entire day. Do it as much as it takes. That's up for you to decide. Filling gas, for example, it takes 15 minutes. It shouldn't take 45 minutes. And so on and so forth. Give everything the time that it needs, not the time that you want. Because that time will be wasted. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Number 4. Now this is a problem here in the West. This factor that I'm about to say, this is a problem in the West. And that is driving and traffic. Driving and traffic is known to waste time. Here in the West, on average, people spend 2 hours driving. If you go to work in the morning, 1 hour, you commute, and you come back in the evening 1 hour, that's 2 hours of your day spent in driving and commuting. Of course, that's not only a waste of time, but it's stressful for some. It's stressful. There's people that get road rage, and they get into car accidents, and they start speeding, and so on and so forth. So what's the solution? You might say, well, Sayyid, what are you telling us? Not to leave the house? Should we just stay at home and not commute? Well, not everyone has the option of working at home. Some might have the option of working at home, good. But not everyone has this option. So what could you do? Just because you have to drive and spend 2 hours of your day driving, it doesn't mean that those 2 hours should be wasted. You could make use of those 2 hours. Those 2 hours being spent in driving, that's not your option. That's not your choice. You have to do it. But it is your choice how you spend those 2 hours. There's some people, they spend those 2 hours listening to music, having a good time, listening to their favorite artists and entertainers for 2 hours. That's a waste of time, to say the least. That's a waste of time. That's a waste of energy. You're putting pollution into your head. You're putting pollution into your mind, this beautiful gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. You're polluting it with the words of rappers and singers, with their disgusting words that's all about dunya and money and drugs and cars and gangs and violence and foul language. Right? Shaitan. Music is shaitan. It's the word of shaitan. وَاسْتَفْزِزْ مَنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ مِنْهُمْ بِصَوْتِكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions one of the tools of shaitan is music. No, instead, these 2 hours that you're commuting, an hour and a half, whatever it is, make use of it. Instead, listen to the Quran. Memorize the Quran. Don't let these 2 hours go to waste. Imagine if you have to commute 2 hours a day, 5 times a week. At the end of the week, how many hours is that? 10 hours. 10 hours. That's not little. In these 10 hours, you could listen to 10 lectures. You can listen to so much Quran. You can memorize so much Quran in 10 hours. If you keep on listening to the Quran, you repeat a chapter several times. If you listen to a chapter 10 times, you memorize it. 15 times, you memorize it. You have it memorized. And it doesn't take any energy. You don't have to go to a school. You don't have to sign up for a lesson. You're sitting in your car. You're going to work. And you're coming back at home. You're listening to Quran. You're memorizing Quran. You don't want to listen to Quran? Listen to lectures. This is the month of Muharram. So many lectures are out there in English, in Farsi, in Arabic, in Urdu, whatever language. If you're bilingual, listen to various languages. If you know several languages, listen to all kinds of languages. There's so many lectures out there by various speakers, good speakers. And alhamdulillah, everything is available. You don't need cassettes. I don't know if the youth today, do you know what cassettes are? I don't know. You know, kids nowadays, they surprise me. You don't need cassettes. You don't even need CD players. It's all on your phone. It's free. You all have internet. Listen on your phone. You can listen to as many lectures as you want. Useful lectures, beneficial lectures. You don't have time to go to a majlis. You have time at work. You have time in the car while you're commuting. While you're commuting. Let me tell you this story. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I have a friend, he used to commute to work. At least an hour and a half going and an hour and a half coming. So he says that my time was being destroyed. It was being wasted. So he said, you know what? I will listen to lectures. Back then, there was a very popular speaker, Arabic speaker in Iraq by the name of Al-Marhum al-Sheikh al-Wa'ili. He said, I went and I got all of his cassettes for 10 years. 10 years worth of lectures for Muharram, Ramadan, and all of the various seasons. And I listened. And he said, within 2 or 3 years, I listened to so many of his lectures, to the point that he became a speaker himself. He became a scholar himself. Imagine. His time was not wasted because of commuting, because of listening to so many lectures of this scholar, of this speaker. He became a speaker himself. He became a scholar himself. Incidentally, he said, one day I arrived late to work. I didn't have time to park the car, so I gave it to the valet driver. And he said, I didn't even have time to stop the cassette. I turned off the car and I gave the keys and I went. He said, when I came back, I saw a note in Arabic, to my surprise. You know, this is in America. He said, can I borrow this cassette of Al-Marhum al-Sheikh al-Wa'ili and can I listen to it? Apparently, it was someone from Iraq, and it was a follower of Ahl Bayt who listened to that cassette. Make use of your time, my dear friends. I have another friend that lives in the city of Los Angeles. The city of Los Angeles is the worst city when it comes to traffic. Believe me, I live there. It's the worst city when it comes to traffic. A 10-minute drive becomes a 1 hour. A 20-minute drive can become 2 hours, believe me. It has the worst traffic. I have a friend, he says, I make use of that time. I call my family members, I call my mom, I call my dad, I call my family members. I listen to lectures. I've learned to make use of those 2 hours that I commute every day in Los Angeles. You have to. This is precious time. Otherwise, if you collect 2 hours every day, that's 10 hours per week. That's 40 hours per month. 40 hours. That's a lot of time being wasted. Let's not let it go to waste. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A fifth factor, a common factor for wasting time, is waiting in lines. You go to the doctor, you have to wait in line. You go to the dentist, you have to wait in line. You go to a tax accountant, you have to wait in line. You go to the Apple store to buy the latest iPhone, you have to wait in line. At least 2 hours, 3 hours. Don't let that time go to waste. You're in the airport, you have to wait in lines. You're on the plane. You know, you brothers and sisters living in New Zealand, God help you. I had to take a 16-hour flight to get here. And I can't help but feel sorry for the people that live in New Zealand. 16 hours? That was the longest flight in my life. And I heard that when I go back, it's going to be 17 hours. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's a lot of time. Make use of it. Take a book. Be in the habit of taking a book. You know, when I was coming here to New Zealand, there was a person sitting next to me. And we were talking about what a long flight it was. He said, you know what? Once I was on this flight and my entertainment system did not work. Can you imagine that? For 16 hours and your entertainment system does not work. You know, some people might even jump off the plane. So I told him, what did you do? He said, I had a book. I read. I didn't get bored. SubhanAllah, how many of us carry books with us? How many of us carry books with us? We don't read. We don't take advantage of these times that are wasted. If we don't plan for them, they go wasted. Plan ahead. Take a book with you. Nowadays, you don't even need to take a book. You can have tens of books on this device. And we all have iPhones and Samsungs, and we all have smartphones. Take a book with you. You don't have a book with you, you're waiting in line, plan. Plan for the day. Plan for the week. Make a plan for yourself. What you're going to do today. What you're going to do this month. What you're going to do this week. This year. Make use of it. Make important phone calls. You have relatives in another country that you haven't spoken to in a long time. Make use of it when you're sitting in a line. When you're sitting at the airport. Just don't speak Arabic very loudly because you'll get in trouble. Make use of that time. It won't be wasted. Time management, my dear friends, it's very important. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A sixth factor, common factor for wasting time, and this is, please forgive me, this is directed to our sisters. Shopping. How many ladies waste their time in shopping? You know, I know some females, they go shopping for fun. Not because they need to, but they do it for fun. In fact, most of them do it for fun. Because there's an enjoyment in shopping. First of all, this is a waste of money. It's a waste of time. And there's so many other mishaps that occur when you go shopping. Why? If you have extra time, you don't need to go shopping. You can exercise. You can volunteer. You can teach at your local Islamic center. You could seek an education. There's so much that you could do. Of course, I know there's men that also enjoy shopping. Not just ladies. But there's men that also enjoy shopping, which is weird. It's weird that men go shopping for fun. Because it's only fun when you do it using someone else's money, not your own money. When you're doing it using your own money, it's not fun any longer. So this is a problem. The solution is that if you see yourself having too much free time, there's a lot of other things that you could do. There's so many other things that you could do. There's so many forgotten Islamic rituals, like visiting the sick. This is something that we've forgotten. Or someone that comes from ziyarah, from umrah, from Karbala and Najaf and Mashhad. You go and visit them. We have a hadith that says, "Man zara za'irana kaman zarana." He who visits our visitor is as if he's visited us. These are Islamic rituals. You don't have to waste your time in shopping. And finally, the seventh common factor, and this is for the men. We have to be fair. Especially young men. And this is something that I see in many communities. That a lot of young men, they waste their time almost on a nightly basis. They go to shisha cafes and argila cafes. This is number one, damaging to your health. Number two, damaging to your pocket and to your wealth. And number three, it damages your time. If you were to go once a month with friends, that's reasonable. That's understandable. Twice a month, that's understandable. But I know some youth, they're married, they have children, but they neglect their family members and their children. They have to have their shisha on a nightly basis. This is wrong. In addition to the fact that it destroys your health, and that it could cause lung cancer, and that it causes cardiac diseases, and that it's expensive, and it costs a lot of money. It destroys your time and productivity. I know some people that have to spend at least 2 hours, 3 hours every night at a shisha cafe, smoking argila or smoking shisha. This is wrong, my dear friends. This is wrong. You have to reduce it. Make it once a week. Even once a week it's too much. Once every 2 weeks, once a month. Because that kills your time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Instead, there are other things that we need to spend more time with. Instead of wasting time, there are things that we don't spend enough time on. One being quality family time. Unfortunately, here in the West, families don't spend enough time together. The husband leaves early in the morning, the wife goes to work, the children go to school, or they go to work, they don't eat together, they don't have lunch. That's why when I said, if you're spending time on meals with family, that's a good thing. Because here in the West, families don't even eat together. They have lunch at separate times, dinner at separate times, breakfast at separate times. And they only see each other on Sundays, if that even happens. You need quality family time, my dear friends. You have to make time for that. Life should not be about business and work and making money. No, take some time off of business and spend it with your family members, with your wife, with your kids. Ask about your kids' school. What's happening at school? Ask about their friends. Ask about their social media. What is happening in their life? There's a lot of parents that are oblivious to the lives of their kids. The kids get themselves in all sorts of trouble. They get into depression. Some of them even contemplate suicide. But the parents have no clue what's happening in the lives of their kids. Because all they care about is money, business, making money. No, make time for your family members. This is one. 2, spirituality. We need to make time for faith and religion, for salah, for Quran, for dua, for ziyarah. This is important, my dear friends. Especially those of us that live far from ziyarah, from the shrines of Ahlul Bayt. We have to make time for spirituality. You have to make at least an hour of your time every day for spirituality, for Quran, for dua. Look at the amount of people in the West that suffer from depression and anxiety. Why? It's because we've distanced ourselves from Allah, from religion. You know, the number one medicine here in the West, the on demand, is antidepressants. Antidepressants. They're the number one on demand. Why? Because it's because we've distanced ourselves from spirituality. Someone who's spiritual and comes to faith and religion and prayers and Quran doesn't need antidepressants. They could, but it reduces big time. Big time. We need time for personal reflection. How many hours do we spend? How many minutes in a day do we spend on personal reflection? Think. To think about ourselves. Where are we headed in life? Where are we going? In which direction? What have I done? What am I doing? What have I contributed? What could I be contributing? Personal reflection. This is very important. Go out for a walk. Go to the beach. Go anywhere where you can think peacefully about yourself. Meditate. Think about where you're headed towards life. Where you're headed in life. In which direction you're going. This is important. And finally, we need time for personal growth. Seeking knowledge. Education. No matter where you've reached in life. Even if you have a PhD, you could always seek knowledge. You could always grow in knowledge. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. There's nowhere in life you could reach and say, I've had enough knowledge. No. You could always learn. You could always read. Attend seminars, conferences, workshops, and also in all sorts of fields. Personal growth. Grow. This is very important. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Look at the lives of the Ahlul Bayt and look at what they've achieved. Do you think the Ahlul Bayt wasted time? Do you think Imam Ali alayhi salam ever wasted of his time? Or Imam al-Hassan, or Imam al-Hussein, or Imam al-Sadiq, or before him Imam al-Baqir? Never. The Ahlul Bayt never wasted their time. That is how they achieved and produced and raised generations of scholars and great companions that spread Islam all over the world. Because they did not waste time. And one such figure that was raised at the hands of the Ahlul Bayt was Muslim ibn Aqil, the representative of Imam Hossein to the city of Kufa. This pious person, the nephew of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the cousin of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One of the greatest people at his time after Imam Hussein. The people of Kufa had written to Imam Hussein to go to them. In preparation for his departure to the city of Kufa, Imam Hussein sent his loyal cousin Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil was a student of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was a student of Imam al-Hassan. He was a student of Imam al-Hussein. He arrived to Kufa. At first he was greeted by the people of Kufa. He was welcomed. He was welcomed by the people of Kufa. But slowly, when Ibn Ziyad, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, arrived to the city of Kufa, he started buying people's allegiance and loyalty. One by one, people abandoned Muslim ibn Aqil. On one night, Muslim ibn Aqil went inside Masjid al-Kufa to pray Salat al-Maghrib and Isha. The masjid was full. After Salat al-Maghrib, he looked back and the masjid was half empty. By the time he finished Salat al-Isha, the entire masjid was empty. He remained by himself. Subhanallah. How you see a people first showing loyalty to a person and they abandon him altogether. What sort of people were these? What sort of people were they to abandon Muslim ibn Aqil? Muslim ibn Aqil started walking in the streets of Kufa not knowing where to go. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad had set a ransom on his head for someone to bring him. He was not sure where to go until he arrived at the doorstep of a house. He stopped. A lady opened the door by the name of Taw'a. She told him, Ya Abdullah, is there anything I could do for you? He said, yes, I would like some water. She brought him water. He drank water, but he remained seated. She said, Ya Abdullah, it is not appropriate for you to be sitting on my doorstep. Go to your family. Go to your wife and kids. Go to your family members. He said, I have no family in this city. I am a foreigner, and I have no family members. In this city, I am alone. I have no place to go because this city has oppressed me. They have deceived me. غدر بي أهل الكوفة. She said, are you Muslim? He said, نعم أنا مسلم ابن عقيل غدر بي أهل الكوفة. I am Muslim ibn Aqil. She said, my master, welcome into my house. I am honored to serve you. She brought him into her house. That night, Muslim ibn Aqil spent the night in worship, praying, in Salat al-Layl, and remembering Allah, in supplicating and reciting Quran, until in the middle of the night, her son, Taw'a's son, was a soldier in the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. He went and he informed Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad that the man that you're looking for is in our house. The enemy soldiers, they came and they surrounded Muslim ibn Aqil. He fought very bravely until they dug a trench for Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim ibn Aqil fell into the trench. He fell into the trap. They brought him to the castle of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad ordered his soldiers to beat him severely. And then he ordered his soldiers to take Muslim ibn Aqil to the top of the roof and to finish him. They brought Muslim ibn Aqil to the roof of Qasr al-Amara. They had beat him severely. They had even beat his lips and cut off his lips. He kept on bleeding. He asked for some water. They brought him a bucket of water. As soon as he wanted to drink, the blood filled the bucket of water. He could not drink. He asked for another bucket and a third bucket, but they kept on being filled with blood. Muslim ibn Aqil could not drink that water. It's as if Allah wanted his fate to be like the fate of his master, Aba Abdullah, to be martyred in the state of thirstiness. Muslim ibn Aqil finally, before being martyred, he asked them to allow him to pray 2 units of prayer. He finished his salat, and then Muslim ibn Aqil turned towards Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara, and he said, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Peace be upon you, my master Aba Abdullah. If you are thinking of coming to Kufa, do not come, Ya Aba Abdullah. These people have deceived me. They have abandoned me. The people of Kufa, some of them were waiting for Muslim ibn Aqil on the bottom. At the front of the castle, they kept on asking for Muslim ibn Aqil. The soldiers told them, wait, you are about to see Muslim ibn Aqil. Those people, they thought that Muslim ibn Aqil is about to come out of the castle. All of a sudden, they saw a body without a head fall from the top of the roof. They fell on the ground. There was the body of Muslim ibn Aqil. They dragged ropes around the legs, the feet of Muslim, and they began dragging him in the streets of Kufa. أين المنادي ومظلوما ومسلما. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had reached Karbala. When the news of the death of Muslim reached him, Imam Hussein was already in Karbala. Imam Hussein alayhi salam cried immensely when hearing the news of the death of Muslim. He said, go and call me the daughter of Muslim. Muslim had a young daughter by the name of Hamida. He said, go and call me his daughter. They brought him Hamida. Imam Hussein alayhi salam seated Hamida on his lap. He started brushing her head and he said, Bunayya ana abuki wa banati akhawatuki. My dear daughter, today I am your father and my daughters are your sisters. She said, my dear uncle, why are you treating me like an orphan? Has something happened to my father because you are treating me like an orphan? Now listen. On the day of Ashura, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam said his farewell to his family members and his relatives and his companions, Imam Hussein was about to set in the battlefield. His daughter Sukaina stopped him. She told him, my dear father, I have one request. I have one thing to tell you. In an hour from now, do you remember when news of the death of Muslim reached you? Do you remember what you did to Hamida? He said, yes, I remember. She said, my dear father, in an hour from now, who will seat me on his lap and who will treat me like an orphan? لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Raise your hands in dua, brothers and sisters. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العلي الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا خوفا إلا آمنته ولا رزقا إلا بسطته ولا شملا إلا جمعته ولا مرضا إلا شفيته ولا غائبا إلا حفظته وأدنيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها ويسرتها يا أرحم الراحمين. ولأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.